He is on your right. Members of Team BCW in the house, along with Daryl Ayers and Peter Ingram. Ingram and Baumeister are playing Teamer Urza, while Daryl Ayers are playing Amulet Titan. And on the left side, Nicholas Montaquila and Marshall Arthurs are playing Elves, while Stephen Tuchek is playing Humans. Elves is not a deck that we see much of here in Modern, and it is back.
Well, it's not that surprising to me to see some of these decks get dusted off. We talked in the pregame show a little bit about Pure Steel Paladin as well. No one kills creatures anymore. That isn't really something we see a whole lot of. That Death Shadow, burn style strategies, control decks with a lot of spot removal, not really part of the format right now. It's not how you win battles involving Oko, and that's a lot of the format. Elves, as we know over the years, if your opponent can't kill stuff, this deck wins on turn 3 pretty reliably.
Mm-hmm. It can do some pretty busted things. You play a 1-mana Accelerant into an Elvish Archdruid into you go nuts.
Right.
And it's not that hard to do. So here's Derwin's Elite. We had Land of War Elves to kick things off. I don't think Marshall has another land, and if that's the case, that's going to be a problem for him. Now, Heritage Druid is a card that could, of course, work itself into the equation the following turn, or maybe even this one, but for now, it'll be a bauble that Corey is going to use. You saw Corey's first turn of Snow-Covered Island into Aether Spellbomb, Mox Opal, Mishra's Bauble, Gilded Goose, Make a Food. An explosive turn number 1 here for Teamer Urza. And yes, that's Teamer Urza, not Simic and not Sultai. Baumeister and Ingram have splashed red in the deck for Galvanic Blast, as well as Experimental Frenzy. Some notable payoffs there.
I mean, Frenzy is a card that can do it kind of all in one turn. Galvanic Blast is also, it makes some sense to me in terms of trying to get a little bit of an edge in the mirror match, as it's an answer to Gilded Goose early and an answer to Urza later on.
Baumeister for his second turn. You ever heard of it?
I have.
You familiar with this one?
But a Heritage Druid and Arthurs could still go off next turn, even through an Oko, turning a Land of War Elf into an Elk.
True. There is Oko, Thief of Crowns. We're going to see plenty of it here this weekend. Looks like Gilded Goose is going to sacrifice a food, maybe. Corey not too sure right now. He will sack the food. Do keep in mind, yeah, there's the splash right there. Galvanic Blast is going to take care of Land of War Elves. And now he is going to plus and make a food token. Now, you mentioned it. Heritage Druid could make things very difficult for Baumeister on this turn. If Arthurs has one, he could go crazy. And there is Heritage Druid.
Would stand a reason if he kept 7 with a 1-lander that this was part of it.
Yep. So let's see what comes next here.
Now, the Archdruid's gotten a little bit worse because Arthur's is behind the ball a little bit against Oko. But he can still flood the battlefield and just get to a spot where he can attack Oko down.
Well, we'll have to see what card that is, because that one's taking Corey for a loop, and it's done the same to me. I believe that is Winding Way. So we'll take a look at Winding Way in just a moment. Top handful of cards here. Looks like he's going to take Cavernous Souls and... Actually, excuse me. Looks like he's naming Creature, perhaps? All right, so let's see. Choose creature or land. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all of the chosen cards revealed this way into your hand, the rest into the graveyard. So he chose creature. Beast Whisperer and Elvish Archer were added to the grip. The green mana left over allowed him to deploy an Elvish Mystic, and that's Arthur's turn. Okay. Did not expect to see Winding Way. That's a 4 of here.
Mm-hmm.
That's his Finale of Devastation as far as the spells are concerned. So he does have some combo elements to his deck. And he and Nicholas are both playing this on their team, so they feel very comfortable and confident about this. Baumeister's pretty comfortable and confident about his play. He's going to go towards Urza, Lord High Artificer, and make himself a construct. And this is a 3rd turn Urza, so Baumeister's start has been very explosive. Turn 2 Oko.
With a 3 mana left over here, I think he can explosives for 1.
That wouldn't be bad.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of Corey stuff, too.
Well, Marshall is beat. He concedes right away. So
fair enough.
That's a
I guess Oko was going to prevent him from ever being able to
do anything of relevance.
Get to his next turn. Yeah.
Yeah, that was you see Corey with a reaffirming head nod there because that was a pretty darn good draw. That was turn one. Turn one Spellbomb, Bobble, Mox, Goose. Turn two Oko, Galvanic Blast your thing. Turn three Urza, Explosives. On one, blow up all your stuff.
It's a lot of mana.
Yeah, okay, sure.
It's a lot of mana for the number of turns that he played.
Not bad, Corey.
In relation to the number of turns, you generate a lot of mana. That was permanent mana, not rituals.
Well, Zara Marshall, 4 Path Exile, 3 Auriok Champion, 3 Choke, 2 Scavenging. It was a Collector Oof, a Reclamation Sage, a Malira, Sylvok Outcast, and a Knight of Autumn for him.
I'm okay, I guess, with the Disenchant creatures, the Reclamation Sage, the Knight of Autumn. I think Collector Oof is very overrated, but I'm sure if it's in the deck, it's for this matchup. So those 3, I suppose.
Yeah, I've heard too many stories from too many people. Those awesome players in Team Lotus Box. Collector Oof, not very good against their deck.
Right.
Not very good against these Urza decks in general.
Yep. Does not seem great, but probably for this matchup in part, so we'll see it.
For Corey Baumeister, he's got 3 Veil of Summer, 3 Blood Moon, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, a Disdainful Stroke, an Ashiok Nightmare Weaver, and an Experimental Frenzy.
I would play the 2 copies of Anger of the Gods and otherwise leave it as is.
Simple sideboarding for you? No. Well, I mean, Anger's obviously very good here.
Yeah, I think Ashiok has maybe a little bit of play here, but I think that Arthur's is just too good at attacking Planeswalkers. I wouldn't go down that road.
Okay. Well, doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of sideboarding here for Corey because he's already having a chit-chat with his teammate, and Marshall's doing the exact same thing. So we'll get our eyes on a second game here in just a moment, but first we do want to talk about Invitational Qualifiers.
Talk to me.
And how you can play them all throughout 2020. You can find locations near you at go.starcitygames.com/IQ. $1,000 to the top 8. Invitational qualifications on the line. Helped a lot of people have very successful years on the SCG Tour last year. You got SCG points there, along with some top 8 playmats, exclusive tokens, and a whole bunch more. Again, go.starcitygames.com/IQ for more information. Find a IQ near you and start your journey here on the SCG Tour, qualify for Invitational, and maybe even qualify like Chris Barone did for the Players' Championship.
Yep. Came out of nowhere there, was able to qualify for the Invitational, and then win it and qualify for the Players' Championship. And you can do the same thing through the IQs.
Plenty of Star City Games organized play that you can bring to your local store. We've also got open trials coming as well, so we'll go over that stuff a little bit later this weekend. But it's an old program that we revived, and we changed a little bit here. So good stuff on the way for the SCG Tour, both locally and all over the country here for our big events like Open Weekends and SCG Con Summer and Winter next year.
This year.
Did I say next year?
Yeah, we're
this
in the year now.
Sorry. Doesn't feel like we are.
I know.
I'm not used to being in 2020 yet at all. I think it's like the 4th. Is today the 4th? Yeah, it's the 4th.
Yeah.
What'd you do for New Year's?
I went to bed before my 5-year-old did.
Oh, yeah. That is nice.
I think I ate a bag of chips and fell asleep sometime around 10.
What kind of chips? Fritos? Funyuns? You would never eat a Funyun.
Not a chip with a brand.
Okay, that sounds delicious.
Like a gray bag that says chips on it. That's what I ate.
That's nice. That's nice. Don't want to give anyone that free branding.
We did New Year's Day brunch, and that was really fun. There's a jazz band, and the kids just loved it.
Yeah?
Loved it. Yeah, so that was cool.
Okay, hold on. I'm thinking here. So you don't have exotic taste. Doesn't mean you have bad taste, but you don't have the most exotic of tastes. So what would you get at a brunch? Is there anything that you see on the brunch menu that you're just hankering for? Some people really go for like Eggs Benedict, but I can't even put you on that at all.
No, I like Eggs Benedict minus the Benedict.
Oh, sure.
I ate a lot.
That implies that you enjoy eggs then. Yes.
Eggs.
Thank you.
They had tiramisu. I got into that more than I should have.
Okay, all right. Kick that 2020 off.
Yeah. New year, same me. You know how it is.
Absolutely. No reason to change when it's all so good.
Yeah. Why would I change? Why mix it up?
I got a hot take.
A lot of coffee.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Brunch is real overrated.
I don't know. It's it's nice when when you got kids, because sometimes getting them out the door for breakfast is an impossibility.
So are we calling
You gotta
brunch?
roll back.
What are we defining brunch as? Because like I think of brunch, it has like a mishmash of like stuff all over the place. Like there's like Bloody Marys and there's like shrimp buffet and a bunch of other stuff. I'm just fine just going for breakfast on a Sunday morning. Just get a Sunday. I don't call that brunch though. I just call that going to get breakfast.
I think it's a mixture of the time a little bit later in the morning, and then as you mentioned, sort of like the different stuff that's available.
The different elements, not all breakfast elements.
Right.
Okay.
No one, if you say that you're having a Bloody Mary with breakfast, it sounds like you have a drinking problem.
Yeah.
If you say that you have it with brunch, you're in the clear.
Yeah, because everyone's doing it.
Even if it happens at exactly the same time.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Totally fine.
Right. So as I got older, I started having brunch a lot more.
Ah, sure. Sure, got it. Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You a Bloody Mary fan?
I get into them now and then. Not really my
horrible.
I like a breakfast old fashioned.
Is that a thing? Well, you can make it a thing.
Exact same ingredients.
I guess you can make it a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Realistically, you can make anything a thing when it's brunch time.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Here's
brunch.
Collector Roof.
It might actually be decent here.
It actually might be fine. Normally, it's horrible.
And there's only one, so he's not at risk of drawing any more of them.
That's true.
Yeah, that's how you draw it up.
I'm going to sack the bobble in response, and now the Mox is off. All right, Gilded Goose out there with a food token, though. Corey's going to draw from the bobble and draw for his turn. Corey does have his copy of Anger of the Gods in hand. Take a look at that beard, though. Majestic.
Mm-hmm.
A really, really nice beard. Collector Roof in spots against these Urza decks can be very, very powerful. There are other spots where it's mostly meaningless, but this looks like one of the spots where it's good. That is an Emery on the cheap. 4 cards headed to the graveyard. Most relevant of the bunch is the Arkham's Astrolabe, and Corey will just pass the turn back. So it's a 1-lander, and it looks like he was somewhat reliant on that Mox getting some work done. So Collector Roof having an impact. It is notable that Marshall has kept a hand that has no 1-mana spells, as Oof will come into the red zone here. And now there's Elvish Archer. So a slower draw.
Yep, just banging on that Oof doing some work, which it doesn't do reliably, but really excellent here.
This is a bobble coming back there from Emery, which is interesting. Curious what the plan is.
Got back something. I mean, hopefully you get the Oof off the table.
Well, I take it all back because he can't cast Astrolabe. Never mind.
Yeah.
No snow-covered land.
Yeah.
It just took me a second.
It's like they're 99.9%.
Yeah, it's just out there.
1, you just don't see it.
Yeah, you're just used to it just being a thing that they can do. So we're going to go back Marshall's way. Now, his Archdruid is online. It's not the best Archdruid we've ever seen just yet. Could get much better, though, in just a moment. Looks like Daryl Ayers won game 1 here against Nicholas, so Amulet Titan is up a game over Elves, as well as Teamer Urza being up a game here over Elves. Montaquila, Arthurs, and Tuchek did win round 1, just like the team of Ayers, Baumeister, and Ingram did, so their unorthodox take on the tournament thus far, though early, has worked out just fine for them. Arthur's trying to figure out how he's going to maximize his mana for this turn because he has an Archdruid. He has Elves to play pre-activating the Archdruid, and he also has Nykthos.
Yeah, there's a lot of the sequencing here is going to be really important. Maximize mana.
I also think he knows that he's in the clear as far as getting to do what he wants to do. If Galvanic Blast were to be a thing, it would have been played by now, I think.
Yeah.
Right? The Gilded Goose would have provided the red mana.
On the Archdruid for sure.
Yeah, or the Oof to turn on some things.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
I think it would have been cast by now. So I think in that regard, if you're Marshall, I think your thought process is, I'm in the clear. So Archer's going to tap for 3. So now we're going to go through Nykthos. So down to 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5. Here's Beast Whisperer. Now there's Nettle Sentinel. Metal Sentinel will draw a card from the Beast Whisperer. Beast Whisperer, a card many were excited about when it was previewed many moons ago. 4 mana, 2/3. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you draw a card. Collector Roof will come into the red zone. And next turn should be the crazy one here for Arthur.
It's hard to imagine Baumeister gets another turn here if he can't do something significant right now.
Yep. Baumeister's draw was a Mox Opal. That's a stinker. And Corey continues to be a mana away from casting Anger of the God Soul. All he can do is pass the turn back. So he will pass it back over to Marshall Arthurs, SCG Louisville champion 2 years ago. Cleaned up many a player with Mardu Pyromancer at that tournament. While down a game right now, you have to imagine he's likely to tie this game up because he's got all the mana in the world and the ability to draw a lot of cards, too. Looks like he has a copy of Finale of Devastation in hand. Key payoff there?
One Azuri.
Okay.
Another Beast Whisperer, I suppose, is not bad here.
So Azuri's your damage output. There's no Crater Hoof or anything like that here?
He's got Vizier of Remedies. He can infinite mana into
okay,
Azuri.
sure. Okay.
No Crater Hoof.
Looks like Tuchek and Ingram are still going back and forth. Humans, Teamer Urza still in game number 1 on our bottom match. For now, though, you see Arthur's counting up all the mana. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as far as green mana symbols are concerned for the Nykthos right now. And then Elvish Archdruid looks like it's tapping for 4. So a lot of green mana here. We'll see if we can get some mana counters on the battlefield. As here's the Finale Devastation. It looks like it's going to be for 4. It looks like another Archdruid.
Just beating down.
Okay. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Looks like that'll do it just fine. Okay, fair enough. Don't see that play that often, but that's good enough to get it done. So, Marshall Arthurs is going to win game. Oh, so that was for a lot. It had to be.
Oh, yeah, he could just do it for 10.
He did it for 10, yeah. I saw him show the fingers for, but, yeah, it's for a lot.
Archdruid and Nykthos, he had a million mana.
Yeah, a million mana, yeah, okay. So he's able to attack for a ton of damage. So
another reason you don't need Crater Hoof anymore in these decks is that once you're at the spot where you have enough mana to search up a Crater Hoof, you can just Finale for
10 when the game ends. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. We're all tied up. Arthur's Baumeister getting ready for game number 3. Baumeister will be on the play. An explosive draw in that first game. Would have had an explosive draw that second game if it weren't for that dastardly Collector Oof. So we'll get game number 3 underway here in just a moment. But first, we're going to talk about the Star City Games YouTube page, where you can watch replays of this tournament. You can watch Versus Live with Corey Baumeister and Ross Merriam. Commander Versus will be back now that we're in 2020. Our friends had to take a little bit of a vacation and enjoy some time with their families. But Jonathan Suarez, Justin Parnell, Jeremy Knoll, and Stephen Green will be back doing their thing on our Twitch channel and our YouTube page. Flashback series, which you can watch with myself, Brad Nelson, and many others. Best of the SCG Tour, as I mentioned, a whole bunch more coming to you this year. Subscribe today at youtube.com/Star City Games. Get those notifications and check out all that great content as we get ready here for game number 3 between Baumeister and Arthurs. We will, of course, jump to other matches as we can. That is the plan. We want to bring you the conclusion of the tournament, let you know, conclusion of each match, let you know who does win, gets that key victory. We got to see it in our last match with Ben Weinberg taking care of Paul Muller to win the match for his team. These players will be given the green light here as Corey asks our table spotter. You're good to go, says our table spotter. So, Snow-Covered Island, there's that artifact.
There we go.
There it is.
Now it's all on.
Yeah, there's Arkham's Astrolabe. Both players have a 1-mana spell. This is a Llanowar Elves. We'll go back over to Corey now. There's Gilded Goose. That'll generate a food token. And we're going to head back over to Arthur's. Arthur's will draw. Let's see how good of a turn he could have, because we know Elves can be very, very explosive. It does not take much.
Yeah, you'd like to get enough shops set up ahead of time where you can win the game if you get an opening without doing so much action that something like Engineer Explosives ends you.
Which it could very well do right now.
Well, it's not necessarily the end of the world. It's certainly bad, but at least you get the Astrolabe and the Gilded Goose for your trouble should Baumeister go down that way. The card that's more concerning, I think, is I guess Anger of Gods kind of washes out the same way.
In a way.
Yeah.
In a way. It's all bad news. And the hope here is that I think if you're Marshall, the hope here is that Corey has, I don't know, something like Oko or Urza.
Right. You just get a clean shot at it.
Oh, Corey does have Anger of the Gods in hand. Not going to pull the trigger there.
I mean, it's possible that his leftovers are just too modest if he does that.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur's missed a land drop last turn. You know his hand's all spells.
Heritage Druid. So how crazy can he go?
I mean, if Baumeister has no interaction, it could very easily be lethal this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's essentially going to start netting mana off of all this stuff. And if he has something like Finale or Beast Whisperer,
should be able to chain off.
You roll the whole thing over, maybe.
There's the Elite. Make an Elf. Okay. I think the thought process might be, as Marshall's up to 4 green, Corey with his Anger of the Gods is just saying, I got to get it all.
Right. If you lose your Goose and you have nothing left over against a one-land hand, it's just too likely you lose to the leftovers.
Yep. There's Elvish Archdruid. All right. Up to 4 again. Elvish Archdruid. On tap. Down to 1. Well.
This Anger might get it all.
Anger does get it all right now.
And this setup looks so good from Arthur's perspective if you're worried about Engineered Explosives.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have Anger of the Gods on the radar, and this is all his turn is, another Archdruid would be nice. Get him out of range.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big ask, though.
Right.
Drawing 3 Archdruids. I mean, this game feels like it ends now.
Probably.
Right?
1 land, 2 cards in hand.
Yeah. Corey's already sacrificing the Scalding Tarn. He's going to go get a red source. There's the Steam Fence, and there's the battlefield tapped. So we'll go to Corey's turn in just a second here, but by my estimation, Arthur's is going to lose his entire battlefield as Corey's going to make that Fu token on the instep. He's not going to miss anything, that's for sure. He'll do it through the Astrolabe, of course. Daryl going to come in for the assist.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, fine.
All right, fine. Yeah. you want to play that one? Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks for the help there, bud. Now Corey's going to sacrifice the Misty Rainforest. Yeah, that's just good teamwork.
Yeah.
That's all that
Daryl
is.
just wanted to be part of the show.
Yeah, he just wanted to help out. I respect that.
Whoa, 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 whoa. All right,
this one.
Fine, Anger.
Do this one. Do this one.
He was going to play. You just say to Marshall after that he was going to play something else.
Yeah. Goose post combat there for Corey. Marshall's going to try to reload here with an Elvish Mystic. I think part of the idea behind what Arthur's and crew are doing is that there aren't effects like Anger of the Gods that are ubiquitous in the format right now, which is actually true.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, Engineer Explosives on that turn would have been fine.
Yeah, Arthur's was set up.
But he had a lot of diverse mana costs.
Yeah.
So this is part of the reason, perhaps, that you've seen these players elect to go towards Tamer as opposed to more traditional builds. This here's a Winding Way. He named a land, so those creatures will go to the graveyard. Forest, Mystic, pass the turn back. Baumeister, this is part of the problem for what it's worth, is the lack of leftovers. But the scary part is if there's a Mystic Sanctuary hiding out here, and there may be, Corey's going to go through his deck.
Well, Baumeister's hand is just lands.
Yeah.
So he can wait a little bit while with another fetch land to get back the anger when it's appropriate. But I think he wants to wait on it because you don't want to anger away this and then still just be back to having nothing.
Yeah, and I will stop myself a little bit because there is no Mystic Sanctuary here. You can take a look at the deck list on Cardboard Live, just like I can see it in front of me. There's no Mystic Sanctuary here for Corey to search up. Now this is one of the things. This is what's been one of your critiques on these Urza decks for as long as they've existed.
All dressed up and nowhere to go.
Yep.
It happens a lot.
Now, sometimes you see extremely powerful draws like we saw in Game 1. Sometimes you see draws get cut off like we saw in Game 2. Oh, show him Elvish Mystic. Okay. And sometimes you see this.
Right.
Where nothing of consequence is really happening. Now, it all takes is one draw step. And a lot has changed. Choke, huh?
Sure.
It's not going to do much for me.
No.
No. Choke is not quite. Now let's get a good look at it. Let's see what this is. Emery. 2, 3, 4. Astrolabe among the cards that are placed into the graveyard here. Island there for Corey. He'll make sure that he maximizes the way he uses these cards as we head back over to Marshall. Corey without much going on right now. Nicholas and Daryl are all tied up. Peter Ingram won game number 1 there over Steven Tuchek. Sacrifice a couple of copies of Horizon Canopy will Arthur's. And he'll just pass the turn back. Starting to get away from him a little bit there as Gilded Goose is going to make some more food. Looks like Corey's going to sacrifice a fetch as well. There's a real draw. Finally.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah? See, the thing is, when you make all those food tokens,
then the construct
is enormous.
And they're all mock sapphires now, too.
Yeah, so choke, huh?
Wasn't into it. I wasn't.
What are you going to do, not cast it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe hope. Maybe,
okay.
You might. Maybe he taps out for some stuff that's not very good. I don't know.
Astrolabe's coming back. Corey did need to tap the Emery to do that, so he does tap the legendary Merfolk. Land for turn. You mentioned that these food tokens are mock sapphires now. And Daryl providing a helping hand. There you go. Going to activate Urza. Well, Baumeister. Top card. Mox Amber. Okay. Well.
Sure.
Some more mana for Urza. Mox Opal. Sure. You can spin again if you want. Yeah. And looks like they're going to shortcut on the... They're going to shortcut on the having to shuffle each time. Yeah. Players can agree to do that. Emery will mill 4 cards, and now Corey's deck is actually doing what it's supposed to. Arthur's
big draw coming.
Does have a big draw. Let's see what we got here. Direwin's Elite. So some of the appeal there, partner, to the Urza strategy is that your cards are powerful on their own.
Right. Yes.
And so you don't draw cards like Direwin's Elite in the mid-game when you're behind, which doesn't really do anything. Now, Direwin's Elite, to its credit, is integral to making the L's deck work in the early turns of the game.
There's not really a mid-game to speak of, too, right? It's just a pass-fail test on can you deploy enough of the battlefield
sure.
Win in front of Oko or And against a lot of the Sultai builds, even post-board, that draw would have been more than good enough from Arthur's. But Anger of the Gods is something a little bit different. The team of Ayers, Baumeister, and Ingram are bringing to the table. And it really paid off in this set. I mean, Elves, Humans. Wow, is that getting rewarded for that metagame call?
Yeah. Well, you see Peter's got a 2 next to his name. Teamer Urza took care of Humans. I have to imagine Anger of the Gods may have been involved down there.
Tough one on Humans.
We didn't get to watch it, but that matchup is already tough for Humans, and they're bringing tools to interact in a very meaningful way in Galvanic Blast and Anger of the Gods. So looks like a tough road to hoe there for Steven Tuchek, and he did not hoe it well. And Corey's really starting to get to work on this one, too.
Yeah, I think there's some interest here in seeing if you can start getting Arthur's into chump block mode right now, but the doors are shutting.
And, the tough thing about this Urza deck, many tough things, but once it really starts snowballing, it's really hard to stop it from doing this. You're activating Urza multiple times a turn. You're doing all these other things. As Marshall's just going to show his 2 lands and concede the game, really hoping that Corey didn't have Anger of the Gods there. He did, so he was able to win the match for him and his team. So the team of Daryl Ayers, Corey Baumeister, and Peter Ingram, 3 members of Team BCW here in 2020, they win this match here over Nicholas A. Montaquila. Marshall Arthurs and Stephen M. Tuchek, 2-0. Pretty easy, straightforward stuff for them. Teamer Urza on display, and perhaps Nick Miller will have to have a little chit-chat in the sideboard with them about why they elected to go with